Have you ever looked at a man who barely says a word, yet every woman in the room is drawn to him? What is it that makes certain men completely irresistible without even trying? Is it money? Status? Looks? No, it's something deeper, more ancient. Something Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, understood over 2,000 years ago. In today's video, we're going to uncover 10 brutal Stoic truths from Marcus Aurelius that, when mastered, will make you not only attractive but unforgettable to 78% of women. These aren't gimmicks. They're principles forged in discipline, self-respect, and quiet power. So before we go deeper, subscribe to the channel if you crave mastery over your mind, your emotions, and your relationships. Like this video to support this community of thinkers and warriors. And watch until the end because the truth I'll share in the final point has the power to change your love life forever. 1. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be 1. Have you ever been in love with someone who didn't see your worth? Think back for a second. Maybe it was your first real love. The girl who made your heart race just by smiling at you. The one who made you believe this time was different. You probably texted her good morning, listened when she talked about her day, stayed up late just to make sure she was okay. You tried to be the nice guy, the gentleman, the one she said she wanted. But despite all that, something strange happened. She drifted away, pulled back, started texting less, and then suddenly she was gone. You sat there wondering, what did I do wrong? I did everything a good man should do. That's the exact mistake Marcus Aurelius warned us about. He said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be 1. See, we've been taught to ask, what do women want? But the moment you live your life trying to match someone else's expectations, you lose your edge. Women don't want a man who bends for approval. They want a man who stands firm in his values, his mission, and his peace, even if that means walking alone for a while. I'll tell you a story. A man, let's call him Adam, was always trying to prove himself, trying to be good enough for every woman he dated. One day, after another heartbreak, he asked himself, what if I stopped chasing their approval and started chasing my own respect? That day changed his life. He stopped trying to be the kind of man women wanted and started becoming the kind of man he admired. He hit the gym not for a six-pack but for discipline. He pursued purpose, not attention. He stopped talking about being a good man and started living it. Guess what happened? Women began noticing him, not because he was loud, not because he was flashy, but because he was real. So let me ask you, have you been living your love life trying to earn worth? Or have you decided to embody it? Because when you stop explaining who you are and start showing it, you don't just attract love, you attract respect. And that changes everything. 2. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Have you ever felt completely helpless in love? Like no matter what you did, she was drifting away. She stopped replying the same way. She laughed less. And eventually her silence said everything. And you kept checking your phone, replaying old messages, staring at pictures that once made your heart full but now just feel hollow. We've all been there. You think, if only I said something different, if only I looked better, had more money, more confidence. You try to fix what's already gone. But here's the brutal truth, brother. You don't have control over her actions. You don't control whether she stays or leaves, whether she loves you or forgets you. What you do control is how you respond. And that's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Let me tell you about Zane, a guy just like you. Zane gave his heart to a girl who once called him her everything. And then she ghosted him. No reason, no closure. He spiraled, drank more, slept less, couldn't focus. He let the outside event, her leaving, destroy his inner peace. Until one day he read that quote from Marcus Aurelius, and it hit him like thunder. He realized he couldn't control what happened, but he could control what happens next. So he stopped reacting. He started meditating, journaling, training his body and his mind. He didn't become numb. He became stable. And the best part? When she came back curious about how different he seemed, he didn't even flinch, because the man who masters his mind becomes irresistible, not just to women but to life itself. So I ask you now, are you letting the chaos of love ruin your peace? Or are you ready to stand still while the storm passes and walk forward in calm, stoic strength? Because once you realize your mind is your kingdom, no woman, no heartbreak, no loss can ever take your crown. 3. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What if the heartbreak you're facing right now, the pain you're trying to avoid, isn't a setback? What if it's the starting point? See, most men run from pain. They see rejection as failure. They see loss as weakness. But Marcus Aurelius? He saw something else.
He said, "The impediment to action advances action."
What stands in the way becomes the way. Let me explain that with a story. There was a man, let's call him Harris. He gave his all to a woman he thought he'd marry. He helped her through her darkest nights, built dreams around her, loved her when she didn't even love herself. And then she left. No real reason, just, I need to find myself. Harris was destroyed, not just heartbroken, but hollow. He stopped working out, stopped focusing on his goals, spent nights staring at the ceiling wondering, why wasn't I enough? But then he stumbled across that Stoic line, and something shifted inside him. He realized this pain wasn't an obstacle, it was fuel. So instead of numbing it, he embraced it. He went to the gym every single day, not out of vanity, but to rebuild his spirit. He started a side hustle he had kept delaying. He traveled, he read. He found purpose not in her, but in himself. And do you know what happened? That pain, the very thing that broke him, built him. That's what Marcus meant. The thing in your way, the rejection, the ghosting, the betrayal, that is the way. If she didn't leave, you wouldn't grow. If she didn't break you, you wouldn't become unbreakable. So let me ask you, what's standing in your way right now? Is it heartbreak? Insecurity? Loneliness? Good. That's your path now. Face it, walk through it, use it. Because the most irresistible men aren't the ones who've never been broken. They're the ones who use the break to become unstoppable. Turn your pain into power. Turn your obstacle into your origin story. Because the way forward is through. 4. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you gave everything to? Not just lied to, but used, manipulated, discarded like you never mattered? Maybe it was the girl who swore you were her, forever, until someone better came along. Or maybe it was the woman who kept you close just enough to not lose you, but never loved you the way you deserved. And when it ended, what did you feel? Anger? Confusion? That burning urge to prove something? To show her she made a mistake? That's human. That's real. But that's also expected. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who faced betrayal from his own circle, wrote this simple truth. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In other words, don't become the very poison that hurt you. Let me tell you about a man named Radiate. He was with a woman who slowly drained him, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. He gave her loyalty, support, love. She gave him deception, lies, another man behind his back. When Radiate found out, his friends told him to get even, to play the same game, sleep around, hurt her back. But Radiate didn't take the bait. He remembered that quote from Marcus. And instead of stooping low, he rose above. He didn't explode. He didn't post cryptic stories. He didn't beg for closure. He leveled up, quietly. He built his body. He sharpened his mind. He reconnected with his purpose. He became unrecognizable, not because of pain, but because of power. And months later, when she saw him again, she couldn't look him in the eye. Not because he said anything, but because he became the man she could never break again. So let me ask you, are you becoming bitter or better? Are you letting pain turn you into something small or into something rare? The real revenge isn't to hurt her back. It's to become so healed, so evolved, so grounded that she no longer recognizes the man who once cried over her. Be unlike the one who betrayed you. That's how you win. 5. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What do you think about when you're alone? Not when you're with friends. Not when you're posting on social media. But when it's just you and silence. Are your thoughts filled with strength or self-doubt? Are they building you up or slowly tearing you down? Because Marcus Aurelius said something powerful. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, you become what you constantly think about. Let me tell you a story about a man named Adil. Adil had just gotten out of a relationship that shattered him. He gave that woman his all, his time, attention, love, even his dreams. But she never truly saw him. And when she left, she didn't just walk out the door. She walked out with his confidence. In the weeks that followed, Adil's thoughts went dark. I'm not good enough. She probably found someone better. Maybe I'll never find love again. And guess what? His energy changed. His posture slouched. He started looking down when he walked. Even his friends noticed he wasn't the same man anymore. Why? Because his thoughts, those quiet whispers, had dyed his soul with shame, fear, and insecurity. But one day, he read that line from Marcus Aurelius, and something clicked. He realized that if his thoughts could weaken him, they could also restore him. So he started talking to himself differently. I am enough. I am in control. This pain is my teacher, not my master. He didn't fake positivity. He rewired his mental reality, and over time something powerful happened. His energy shifted. His voice got deeper. His back straightened. And women, without him even trying, started noticing again. Why? Because he had dyed his soul with discipline, confidence, and quiet power. So let me ask you, what color are your thoughts painting your soul? Because you could have the best looks, the best job, the best car. But if your thoughts are soaked in desperation, fear, and weakness, that's what women will feel. But if your mind is colored with purpose, peace, and unshakable belief in who you are, you won't need to chase anyone. They'll be drawn to your energy like fire in the dark. Your thoughts shape your aura. Make sure it's something worth radiating. 6. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Have you ever done something just to impress her? Maybe you told her what she wanted to hear, even if it wasn't how you really felt. Maybe you posted pictures pretending to be someone you're not. Maybe you pretended to be okay with things just to avoid losing her. If you've done it, you're not alone. Most men have. We live in a world that rewards performance more than it does principle. But Marcus Aurelius, the last good emperor, reminded us of something men today have forgotten. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Let me share a story with you. There was a man, let's call him Saif. He started dating a woman he deeply cared about. She was beautiful, magnetic, but demanding. She constantly tested his boundaries. She'd flirt with other guys as a joke. She'd make backhanded comments about his career, his goals. And Saif? He stayed quiet, smiled through it. He didn't speak up when she crossed lines because deep down he feared losing her. He said yes when he wanted to say no. He agreed with her views just to avoid tension. He acted like a version of himself that didn't even feel real anymore. And slowly, he felt his self-respect erode. Until one day, after reading Marcus's words, he asked himself, who am I becoming to keep someone who doesn't even value the real me? That question broke him, and then it rebuilt him. From that day forward, he lived by one rule. If it wasn't right for his values, he wouldn't do it. If it wasn't true to who he was, he wouldn't say it. And you know what happened? He lost her, but he found himself. And not long after, the world noticed. Women started responding to him differently, not because he tried to be liked, but because he finally became authentic. So let me ask you, are you selling your truth to be loved, or are you standing in your truth to be respected? Because a man who bends his values for a woman might gain her attention. But a man who honors his truth, he earns her admiration every single time. 7. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. It is not the actions of others that trouble us, but our own judgments of them. How many hours have you spent wondering what she's doing now, who she's texting, whether she misses you? If that guy she followed on Instagram is just a friend, you've probably replayed her actions 100 times in your head, trying to decode every word, every silence, every "I'm just busy." We all do it. But Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless Stoic wisdom, said something most modern men need tattooed on their hearts. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. It is not the actions of others that trouble us, but our own judgments of them. Let me tell you about Omar. Omar was deeply in love, loyal to a fault. He gave his heart to a woman who constantly kept him in a state of uncertainty, hot and cold, close then distant. And when she finally left, he didn't just grieve the loss, he became obsessed. He checked her stories every hour, created fake accounts just to stalk her profile, asked mutual friends about her new friend. He was alive physically, but emotionally, he was living in her shadow. But then one night, 3 a.m. alone, eyes bloodshot from scrolling, he read that quote from Marcus, and it stopped him cold, because he realized it wasn't her new relationship that was destroying him. It wasn't her silence. It wasn't even the betrayal. It was his own mind, his judgment, his addiction to overthinking what she was doing. So he stopped asking about her, stopped watching her stories, and started watching his own thoughts. He realized that every minute spent speculating about her life was a minute stolen from his own, from his goals, from his healing, from his future. And slowly, peace returned. So let me ask you, how much of your energy is still being spent living inside someone else's life? Because the moment you stop judging her actions and start focusing on your reaction, you take back your power. A Stoic man doesn't waste time in others' minds. He builds an empire in his own. And that is where true attraction begins. 8. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing.
Have you ever felt like love was supposed to be easy?
Like if it's meant to be, it should flow. It should be soft. It should feel like a romantic movie, where everything falls into place. That's what we're taught. But then reality hits you like a storm. The late replies, the confusion, the emotional games, the fights over things you didn't even understand. And you're left wondering, why is this so hard? I thought love was supposed to be beautiful. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire during war, betrayal, and plague, wrote something every modern man needs to remember. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Let me tell you about a man named Fahad. Fahad was a romantic, a true believer in love. He fell hard for a woman who checked every box: beauty, kindness, ambition. But the relationship wasn't easy. She had trauma, walls, mood swings. She'd pull him close, then push him away. And Fahad, being the good guy, thought if he just loved her enough, things would finally settle. But the more he gave, the more chaotic it became. And one night, after another argument that left him emotionally drained, he read that quote from Marcus Aurelius, and it hit him like a blade. He realized life, love, growth, none of it is a graceful dance. It's a wrestling match. You don't float through it. You fight for clarity. You wrestle with your ego, your fears, your pain. You hold yourself together when everything around you is trying to pull you apart. That's what makes a man powerful, not the absence of struggle, but the ability to stay grounded inside it. So Fahad stopped romanticizing perfection. He embraced reality. The messy, unpredictable emotional grind of real love and real life. And guess what? He became calmer, firmer. She started respecting him more, admiring him, because she finally felt what every woman is searching for. A man who doesn't collapse under emotional pressure. A man who wrestles but never lets go of who he is. So I'll ask you this. Are you trying to dance your way through life? Or are you ready to wrestle with grace, strength, and stoic resolve? Because the men who win in love aren't the ones who avoid struggle. They're the ones built by it. 9. To love only what happens, what was destined. No greater harmony. Have you ever asked the question, why did this happen to me? Why did she leave? Why did someone else get her love while you gave your soul? Why did your loyalty go unnoticed and his games get rewarded? You sit with those questions. They haunt you in the quiet moments late at night, when it's just you, your memories, and the weight of what could have been. But Marcus Aurelius, a man who lost children, faced betrayal, and watched Rome suffer, offered a different way of thinking. To love only what happens, what was destined. No greater harmony. This isn't just acceptance. It's a radical kind of peace, amor fati, the love of fate. Let me share a story with you. There was a man named Imran. He met a woman who felt like fate itself. Everything aligned, conversations, energy, dreams. But just when he started planning a future, she ended it. No warning, just, I don't feel the same anymore. He was devastated. Weeks turned into months. His mind played every scene over and over. What if he'd done more, been more? Until one morning, he read that quote from Marcus. And instead of asking why it happened, he asked, what if this was supposed to happen for me, not to me? That question didn't erase the pain, but it gave the pain meaning. He began to see how that heartbreak exposed his emotional blind spots, forced him to grow, pushed him to prioritize his purpose. And slowly, he found peace. Not just in what happened, but in loving that it happened. That's the Stoic secret. You don't just accept the breakup, the betrayal, the silence, you embrace it. Because it shaped you. It revealed you. It woke you up. So let me ask you, can you love what life gave you even when it hurt? Because once you do, you become untouchable. You stop chasing what left. You stop clinging to what could have been, and you start walking forward with power, because everything that was meant to be. No greater harmony, no greater freedom. Amor fati. 10. Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. When was the last time you truly sat with yourself? No distractions, no phone, no pretending, just you and your reflection. Not the version you show the world, but the one who's been through heartbreak, the one who stayed loyal even when it hurt, the one who wonders if he'll ever feel whole again. Marcus Aurelius, a man who bore the weight of an empire, said something most men today are too distracted to understand. Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Armin. After being cheated on by the woman he thought he'd marry, he fell apart. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. He tried everything to feel better. New girls, nightclubs, empty distractions, but nothing filled the void. Until one day, exhausted, he sat alone in his apartment. Phone turned off, music off, everything off, just silence. And in that silence, he broke. He cried, not the shallow kind, but the kind that shakes your body, the kind that cleanses. Then in the silence that followed, he felt something strange. Not confidence, not joy, but a small flicker of stillness. Like a voice whispering, "You're still here." That was his first taste of real strength. Not from others, not from validation, but from within. And from that moment forward, he realized something powerful. The world will break you. Women will misunderstand you. Love will leave. But deep inside, if you dare to look, there is a well of strength that never runs dry. So let me ask you, have you looked inward lately? Not to judge, not to fix, but to find that unshakable core inside you, the one life can't take, and no woman can give. Because the most attractive, powerful, magnetic man is the one who has met himself. He doesn't beg. He doesn't chase. He walks through life with a quiet fire. And when a woman meets him, she feels it. Not because he said anything, but because his strength speaks before he does. That strength is already inside you. Look, and it will rise. Let me leave you with this final thought. The modern world tells men to chase women. Stoicism tells you to chase virtue. The world says to impress her. Marcus Aurelius says to master yourself. And in that mastery, in that quiet, unshakable presence, you become what 97.8% of women cannot ignore. Not because you're trying to be seen, but because you're finally becoming the man worth seeing. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.